Broadcasting from the Merritt Hall Studios out of Carson City, Nevada. You're listening to Covering the Field with Big Richard Martin, Gator Gates, and Joe the Answer Ellison.
Welcome to Covering the Field. I'm Joe Ellison, and with me today are my wonderful colleagues, Big Richard Martin and Gator Gates. Big Rich, let's lead off with the NBA. Where last Wednesday, Denver had just taken a 1-0 lead over the Los Angeles Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. How'd that series go?
Well, the brooms are out in the West. They're Mile High City. You guys finally got your first finals since 1975, 76, when they came into the league. They finally are going to have NBA finals in the Mile High City. Congratulations. Nikola Jokic was amazing. 8 triple doubles in the playoffs so far. We are seeing something amazing. And what's even more amazing, how humble he is. And he hits a three-pointer. I mean, even though he didn't see it go in, and he had Anthony Davis's hand in his face. He doesn't showboat shooting up in his arms like he has, ice in his veins. He doesn't pretend like he's shooting arrows, and he just goes down and plays defense. He's just so great. He's great for the game. But, let's talk about LeBron James showing up for Game 4. The King showed us a great Kings effort.
I agree.
I mean,
that was an excellent game.
He played whole 40 minutes. I mean, I think he set for 10 seconds, maybe.
48 minutes, yeah. Mm-hmm. 31 in the first half, but only 9 in the second half. But still 40 points.
40 points for a 38-year-old. He had 10 rebounds and 9 assists. The only thing, he could have got the triple-double at the end if he could have kicked it to Austin Reeves instead of taking that double team on, where Jamal Murray played the greatest defense I've ever seen, holding him up, 2 hands on the ball, obviously no foul, and Gordon tipped the lazy shot that he threw out of there. Great job by Jamal Murray. It shows you he was 0 for 4 for 3 points that game. I mean, he was not having a really good game, even though he did have, I think, 25 points for the game. But he still showed it up on defense. And this is a young, great team. The Lakers shot over 60%. I was sitting with my producer watching the game. I'm like, there's no way they can keep this percentage up. And whoa, were we right? They ended up shooting 36%. They were shooting 65% in the first half, and they ended up shooting 36.4% for the game. So obviously that works out. They only had 13 points in the third quarter. Are you telling me an elimination game and you only scored 13 points in the third quarter?
I think it was 16, but that's
16 points. Yeah, 16 points. That's correct. It was great. Great for the Denver Nuggets organization. The only thing I have to take back is Michael Malone. I mean, man, he is getting beat up on social media right now. I mean, he is always crying about nobody's looking at the Lakers. And even after the game was over, I was watching 3 different sports shows, and everybody had LeBron on there, and Denver Nuggets won the series, and everybody was all about LeBron. And we have to say, for the last 2 decades, it's been about LeBron since he was 18 years old and put on that Cleveland Cavalier uniform. It's all been about LeBron for the last 20 years of basketball, and he's been great. But maybe if he just stopped crying so much more, you're bubbling on TV all the time. I mean, take a page from Jokic. After his series, he gave assists to everybody but himself. He said the MVP was for the whole team, it wasn't for him. He couldn't do it without him, which they couldn't do it without him. I think, do you?
Not impossible.
Impossible. But he sure doesn't. He's very, very humble. And, why don't you look at you're building a championship, Denver? I mean, you built this team. It wasn't – the Lakers bought their championship. They went out and bought AD. They went out and bought LeBron James. They bought their championship. Miami, they bought their championship. They had Dwayne Wade. They went out and got James and Bosh. They bought those teams. This is a team built. This reminds me of a team like this. Not Golden State. It reminds me more. They did build. They had Steph Curry. They've got Green. They've got Splash Brothers Thompson. The only time they didn't was when they got Kevin Durant. But besides that, they have built that team, and it's built about great defense, and it's built about Kerr being a great coach. I think that I don't think they bought that team. Do you guys?
No, I think that's an excellent point, man. That you brought up that it was all homegrown.
Right.
I think that's excellent, and that gives you a better foundation to build more on. What do you think, Joe?
I think Miami is pretty much the same way.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about them next.
Like that. But yeah, it's not like the Lakers. Yeah, they got swept, but I mean, that second game, those late threes, LeBron hits a couple. Maybe they get that. They took the lead in game 3 late, but then it was all Denver in the last 4 or 5 minutes.
94-90. I think it was 94-95.
Yeah.
And then Jamal Murray couldn't miss any 3 points. He went down there and shot like 4 straight 3-pointers or 3 or 4 straight 3-pointers. And I mean, they couldn't recover because if you have a turnover, and the Nuggets are young. I mean, you have Jamal Murray, 26, Michael Porter, 24, Jokic, 28, Aaron Gordon, 27, and Bruce Brown, he's 26. That's a young team. The only thing that could stop this team from being a franchise, they're going to win championships. Not if they could keep this team together, not championships this year. They're going to win championships. This is going to be a franchise like the San Antonio Spurs.
The Lakers, at least they didn't do what the Celtics did. Celtics gave up, as we all know, in that third game. And they didn't do that. At least they came out and tried and were professionals and they earned their paycheck.
Yeah, well, they were down big the first game and came back and almost won that. So every game was actually in doubt.
Yeah, right. The Lakers covered the spread in the first 2 games. The only game I really think they didn't cover is the 3 and 4.
And up by 15 at halftime. The last one sure looked like they were going to get that one.
Right.
And, of course, that didn't happen. So congratulations to Denver.
Congratulations to Denver. And they're now hoping for a long series with Boston and Miami.
Do you want to talk about Boston, Miami?
Okay, let's get step right into it.
Rematch of last year's conference finals. That was Boston who won last year. How is this series shaping up? It hadn't even started last week.
If anybody should be saying they want respect, maybe it should be Eric Spoelstra. They went and swept Boston in Boston. That is an amazing feat. I mean, it would be great if they just got one of those 2 games. That's all they were supposed to if you're going to win the 7-game series. And they go and sweep, and they beat them down. So actually, the games were 6 one game and 7 the other game. But in game 3, Miami hammered them. They beat them by, I think, was it 26 points?
26, yeah.
Yeah, 26 points.
I think Celtics went over 12 on the threes.
Right.
Oh, that game was just nutty.
Boston shot 26% in game 3, and then in game 4, they turned around and got the win. They shot 40%. Jimmy Butler only takes 2 or 3 3-pointers a game. He doesn't need to. He shoots 54% from the field. He is driving. They drive. They pop it out, and then they hit their threes. If they're not, they're getting long rebounds. And they have a great thing going. I really think that we need to talk about that coach, Spoelstra. He's doing a great job. I mean, I just go back and think about him. You remember when he was just starting with LeBron James in 2010?
Well, sure.
And LeBron went into Pat Riley's office and said, fire this guy?
Yeah, well, he's 15 seasons now and 7 conference championship appearances out of 15 years. So that's every other year. And this team's got 7 undrafted players on the team.
Right. We're going to talk about those 7 undrafted players.
He's an amazing coach.
Well, let's talk about one of those guys, Gabe Vincent, a Modesto kid. Joe, he went to high school in your hometown in Stockton at St. Mary's High School. He goes and plays for the Santa Barbara Gauchos, which is my hometown down there in Central California. He goes out and he shot 6 out of 9 3-pointers, had 29 points, and just throttled them from out because Jimmy Butler was going and kicking it out. I mean, they drive, all of Mamba. They all play great team together. And can we give Pat Riley a little bit of credit? I mean, like I said, 7 undrafted players.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I heard a stat, I find hard to believe, but Pat Riley has been a part of 25% of all champions in the entire history of the league.
Oh my God!
What was his greatest move? His greatest move when he got Kobe Bryant, when he traded it when it was Carolina, he traded up to get Kobe Bryant, the 18-year-old kid out of Philadelphia.
Traded Vlade Divac, a couple of other things.
Right, and then he goes to builds a championship in Miami, and then wins. Was it 2 or 3 with LeBron?
2,
and then they got one with Shaq. They got one with Shaq when they got Shaq later after they split up, but. He can see talent. I mean, he got Caleb Martin from our boy out here in Nevada. He got Duncan Robinson, undrafted from Michigan. I mean, the guy Max Struss. He's on the starting lineup and he's an undrafted player. I mean, great job. I mean, of course, Jimmy Himmy Butler. You know why they call him Himmy Butler?
No,
because it's all about him. That's what it's Jimmy Butler. He is the man. I got some rap song. He is the man.
Right.
He's averaging 29.9% in the free 29 points, so basically 30 points, 7 rebounds and 5 dimes. I mean, the dude's playing out of his mind. He's doing great. But, Boston erupted in the second half. I mean, I think they had 38 points in that third quarter. And
yeah, well, basketball's a game of spurts, right? So game 1 was Miami. The third quarter, they outscored them by 21. Sure. Game 2, right at the end, they outscored them by 14. Miami the whole game was a spurt there in game 3. Right. But yesterday, Boston, they did really well. They shot over 50%. Miami didn't. Yep. And 40% from threes. Yep. While Miami was only 25% threes and had 5 more turnovers. So completely different kind of game.
And at home, that's a closeout game. You don't want to give this Boston team a chance. I'm telling you right now.
Those spurts of
ask the 76ers if you want to give them a chance. Give them a little bit of breathing room.
Boston had spurts of 16-0 and 13-0. So you got to limit those.
So now they go back to the Garden.
Right.
Game
this
5.
Robert Williams guy is amazing too. Huh? Was he like 56 of 72 in the playoffs shooting? They need to give him the ball a little more.
Well, he only shoots it inside that little circle. Well, he doesn't shoot it really anywhere else. But he hustles. One of the best defenders in basketball for sure.
Find him a way to get the ball.
So let's talk about this game 5. Yeah. I mean, if Boston wins this game, which they should at home, they're favored by 8.
Right, like they should have won game 1 and 2.
Right. Well, those games, like I said, one was won by 6, one was won by 7.
Yeah.
So 8 points looks really good with Miami tomorrow. I mean, if we look at that kind of game, I think it's a grind 'em game. I think it's going to be very good defensive, like the East always is, and I kind of like the under also in that game. But I really think if Boston can pull this out, then you're looking at the same things. They go to 7. They went to Philadelphia and got the win, and they came home, and then they got the big win at home. So they're looking at it as one game at a time. They're not looking at, we have to beat you 4 games. They're saying one game at a time. Let's just worry about that game.
Well, last year's series, road team won 5 out of 7 games. This year, road team 3 out of 4. The history. Teams
take Miami. So take Miami in the points. In the points. Yeah, exactly.
Of course, teams up 3-0 in series, 150-0 now since the Lakers didn't make it. 14 teams have won 2 games. 3 have won 3. All the rest of them are done either already or they only win 1.
But could this be the year? I mean, could this be the year that we finally see someone come back from a 3-0? I mean,
was Philadelphia? I'm hoping not.
But look at the Florida Panthers. They were down 1-3 in against Boston. We're going to talk about hockey next.
We're going to get to that.
Yeah, and exactly with
Florida doesn't look so bad now, do they?
They don't look so bad now. I think
maybe Boston didn't look that bad either.
Gator had that picked all the way. But I'm saying is they were on the brink. They had 2 minutes left when they got that tying goal, and then they went to overtime, and they ended up doing it. So this could be something similar we're looking at. But I'm going to take it one game at a time, and like you said, we're going to give you guys the best knowledge that you can for your bet, and I hope that you can make some money.
Well, the spread's 7.5.
It's up to 8.
Currently up to 8 now. Beautiful. Currently, Miami is on a streak. It's either 4 or 5 as an underdog of 6 or more points. They just win those games outright.
Right.
So in his 7 home playoff games, Boston is 2-5 this year. They do not play well at home. I'm taking Miami plus the 7.5. I don't need to do money line. I've already got Miami to win the series at plus 400, so I'm not going to double dip into that. But
you're not going to hedge. If anybody, I would think would hedge that bet would it be you.
It's a little early to be hedging.
Okay.
They only need 1 more, and they're up 3-1. But if they lose another one, I'm going to think about it.
Well, you said the dog, and they got the big dog. They got Jimmy Butler is the big dog, and he plays like a junkyard dog. He plays with heart, plays with attitude, and beating him 4 games in a row is about impossible.
As far as the over-under for Game 5, it's 215. Every game so far has hit 215 or more. The 2 games in Boston hit 239 and 216, so I'm going to go with the over, 215. That's what the numbers are telling me. We'll see.
That's the educated gamble right there. That's good job. Good job.
That's handicapping.
That's handicap, right?
But regardless of who wins, it'll be pretty tough beating Denver. Nuggets are 8-0 at home in the playoffs. They'll have home court, obviously, in the finals.
And they're all right now in Aspen, getting massages and resting up and massages. Well, hopefully, man, we won't go over that. We won't even get. That's a horse of a different color.
Eliminate spread. And thank you to Butch the Butcher Roberts for some of those stats. And finally, it was good to see LeBron James, Game 3, bump your favorite referee of mine, Mr. Fix-It, Scott Foster, and bloodied his lip.
Said that was for
Game
Chris
had to
Paul.
be-
That's for my buddy Chris Paul.
The game had to
Yeah.
be stopped.
He stopped and had to get a stitch like a hockey player.
Foster actually earned his money for once.
Yeah.
Jeez. Well, we'll move on to the National Hockey League, where conference finals began last Thursday. Let's start in the East with Florida and Carolina. Gator, what happened?
Okay, well, our first game, Joe, went actually 4 overtimes, and that was actually the 6th longest game in NHL history. But Matthew Tkachuk, with 12.7 seconds left in the 4th overtime, scored the game winner.
Almost went to the 5th.
Almost
12
went to-
more seconds.
Yeah, I'm sure the announcers were happy it didn't.
Well, I'm telling you, they stopped selling beer 6 hours before that was over. I mean, they stopped in the second period. I mean, those poor Carolina fans. I mean, at what point can we make a rule, Joe, that we can reopen the beer stands? You can have at least another beer.
Gummies.
Okay.
Gummies.
Okay. Well, yeah, you got to put them in your pocket. I guess you got to do security, but I'm saying is at some point, I think if it goes to double over, let's pop the beer cans. Everybody gets one more beer and enjoy the next period or something. I don't know. It just seems ridiculous that you have to go 4.5 hours without a cocktail.
You're gonna have to get creative.
Well, Joe, the next game that went into overtime.
Much less time, though.
Yeah, much less time. You're right, Joe. Well, the score in that game, the first game, I didn't even give the score. The Florida won 3-2, and it went into 4 overtimes. The second game, Florida won 2-1, and Matthew Tkachuk got that goal as well, Joe, in overtime. It was 1:51, less than 2 minutes. And the way he got off the ice, Joe, I thought maybe he had a hot date or something, because he just wanted that door open and get the heck out.
He looked like Bo Jackson when he went through the tunnel in Seattle.
Exactly. So no, I don't blame him after that 4 overtimes.
Yep.
Let's go home.
Florida in overtime, 6-0.
Yes, and they're 6-0. Yes, exactly.
In these playoffs, amazing.
That is amazing. Yeah, Borowski, man, he's just been lights out.
Well, game 3, a shutout, 1-0. I mean, it just kept getting lower and lower these games.
Yeah, that game 3, there was 32 shots on him too, Joe.
Yep. And that was 8 straight games where he'd given up 2 or less goals. Simply amazing. But then game 4 happened tonight, and we just witnessed it, and it did not go under, did it?
No, it did. It went over.
Florida won 4-3. They scored a goal with 4 seconds left, and now they're in the finals.
Yeah, congratulations on Florida. Again, if you guys ain't been keeping up, they had to fight to get into the playoffs, and now they beat Boston. Who else did they beat? Who's the other team?
Was it Toronto?
Yes,
Toronto. Very good.
Toronto. Thank you. Good job.
And
I'm just saying they're not pushover teams. They're actually teams.
And those 8 games that Joe was just talking about, not one of those. I think only one game total got to 7. So it was every game was going under. It was the pattern was going under. But every game against Boston went over. So it shows you Florida can win both ways.
Yep.
They can score the goals or they can play tough. They look great.
They do. I agree.
We got to give credit to Paul Maurice, the head coach, too. He's been coaching for like 25 years. It's his first year at Florida. Been around a long time, but he's doing a heck of a job this year. Carolina, poor Carolina, they've lost 12 straight conference finals games. They get this far and no farther. You have to go back to 2006 when they won the cup, where they actually...
they were in a series that they were down 0-3 in that year, too, Joe. They were down 0-3 and came back.
So Florida won every game, and 3 out of 4 went under. So in the West, we have...
Can we go back 1 second? Because I want to bring Cornelius into the studio. I'm going to give you guys your first sink or swim for the day. Sink or swim. Now Florida is in the finals, right? They're playing in there. And also, where do you think Miami's going to go, right? I mean, we're all on.
I'm pretty sure.
Vegas.
So
that's what history says.
That's what history says. And so...
Oh, Miami.
Do they play, those 2 teams, do they play in the same arena?
Well, Miami...
I say they do sink or swim.
I say no. I say
that's a sink.
That's a sink.
Because Miami
You're saying it's a sinkhole.
Yeah, it's a sinkhole. No, Miami's... Yeah, well, Florida is in...
They're both playing Miami.
Well, that's Sunrise, Florida, as opposed to for Florida. Yeah, Miami plays in a different place.
They're playing in the Miami arena. So you guys right. It is a... Yeah. Sorry, we didn't get Cornelius in on that. Joe already figured it out. I knew he would before we got him in there. But yeah, they play a different arenas because I thought, because of course, if it was the Nuggets and would have made it to the finals, they would have to change that ice every day back and forth because he'd be having
put the court on top of the ice.
So exactly, they'd be going back and forth, but they do play a different one. Like you said, one plays in Sunrise, and the Heat play in Miami Arena.
Yep.
So good job.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks. So we move on to the West. Vegas taking on Dallas. What has occurred so far?
Well, we got a repeating thing here, Joe. On Friday was their first game, and that game went into overtime, Joe.
Yeah, sure did.
Vegas won 4-3, and Brett Howden, he scored at 1:35 into overtime, off the back of Jake Ottinger. Right off his back, Joe. Rolled right into the net.
Nice shot.
Yeah, nice shot. And they practice those now, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday, Joe, again, went into another overtime. So the first 4 games of these semis between the 4 teams, 4 of them went into overtime.
All 4 of them, yep.
That was
pretty exciting stuff. That is unbelievable.
Again, Vegas won again 3-2 this time. But the thing about this game, Joe, the second game, Vegas didn't have the lead until 1:12 into overtime when Chandler Stephenson scored.
That was a game Dallas had.
Oh, God, they looked like they had it won.
They had it all the way. Still about 2.5 minutes left, and then Vegas tied it up.
Yeah, that was a heartbreaker.
Game 3, that was tough to watch.
Wow. Well, where do we start here? Right off the bat, Vegas scores a goal, and then not even a minute later, Jamie Benn, he gets a penalty. Tries to cross check a guy's throat right on the side of his throat.
Stone. Yeah.
Yep.
Thought I was watching Slapshot.
So he gets a 5-minute major. So when you score a goal in a 5-minute major, you can score as many goals as you can in that time.
Unlimited, frame. Yes.
But they did score only 1, but still it was enough, Joe. It was 2 shots, 3 shots, 2 goals at that time. I think
they expected to give up 1. Okay, maybe we can stem the tide right there. But then Ottinger gave up another goal.
Yeah, within a minute or so after that. Yeah, so I think there was 5 shots and 3 goals, and then they pulled Ottinger.
Yeah, so about 8 minutes in.
Yeah, he was pulled at 7:10 into the game.
And it's not just what happened, but who did it
and how it happened.
That's your captain, Jamie Benn, who's the one who's committing this horrible penalty. He's supposed to set the tone for the whole team. And it sucked the life right out of the whole building.
It sure did.
And the fans were done at that point. So
So anyways, so tomorrow night.
I know. Any thoughts on tomorrow's game?
Oh, Joe, I don't.
Dallas.
I don't want to see Dallas get swept. I really don't. I do want Vegas to go and beat Florida in the finals, but I really don't want to see Dallas get swept. I don't think they deserve that.
Well, if they do, if it wasn't for Boston Celtics, then all of the series would end up being sweeps.
Yeah.
So that'd be terrible. But of course I'm going to give Dallas a game. That's I'd give them 1. Then Vegas can go back home and celebrate.
Okay.
Sounds fair to me.
But I'm going to
celebrate in front of the home fans.
I want to talk to you guys a little bit about these. We're saying Florida and Las Vegas, we're kind of the same way on these series. If you look at the Knights score 3.7 goals a game and they gave up 2.7. Florida, very similar, 3.07 goals per game, and they give up 267. So it's almost identical.
That's why all those overtimes too.
Right. And we have 3 overtime wins for the Knights, 6 overtime wins for Florida.
Yeah.
Similar. Power plays. Both teams, power play goals, they've scored 9, the Knights, and they've given up 15. Florida has scored 10 power play goals and given up 15. So it's identical. Wow. It's like, and they both get outshot 413 to 451, and they're winning. Was that telling you if you're getting outshot and you're still winning, you have great goalie play? Is that what you guys are seeing?
Especially Bobrovsky right now.
Bobrovsky is amazing.
Well, Aiden Hill's just as good. I mean, he's just as, if you look at the same thing.
Yeah.
So then the Big Richard, we have to look at the offense, right? If we're going to give the goalies a wash, right? So let's look at the offense. Who has the better offense?
Well, we say that Knights average 3.7 goals a game, and Florida 3.07, and they both have very, very similar points against 267, 271.
So the stat that I'm looking at from that is how many shots do they get? And I would think that Vegas has more shots.
Well, they gave
per game.
They've shot 413 and they've given up shots against 451.
Wow.
So it's just some stuff to cut into.
So we're saying more overtime.
But I did, and I'm saying is like this is without tonight's game. I did the Florida game. I haven't put that in there. And I haven't put tomorrow's night's game there. So we know we're not even though if they sweep or they're not going to start till next Thursday or Wednesday. Is that when I'm going to give my producer.
The NBA was the one.
NBA starts on Thursday.
Yeah, so it'll have to be a different day because they're not going to play on the same day.
Exactly.
So it's going to be a
Wednesday or Friday.
It'll be a Friday, Sunday.
Something like that,
Tuesday, or they'll skip a day. And
but my point is,
we'll
be able to do another show and break these things down a little bit further. I think it'd be good and we'll have those stats.
Next week we'll be all over the finals, and we'll come up with some predictions. But I think we have to go on switch gears here.
Okay.
Gator, what do you think? It's the greatest day of the year for those of us who enjoy watching motorsports. That's like Super Bowl Sunday, right?
I call it Motor Day, but sure, it's me.
All right. Indianapolis.
Motorboating Day?
Motorboating Day.
Indy 500, Coca-Cola 600, Grand Prix at Monaco. I mean, it all starts in the morning in Monte Carlo. We might as well go in chronological order here.
Okay.
Who you got?
Last year, Sergio Perez, Red Bull, won. And Carlos Sainz, Ferrari, finished second. Max, our boy,
Verstappen
was actually in third. This year, Verstappen's even money, Joe, and I kind of like that. When are you going to see even money again on Verstappen?
It is shocking. And last week, I do want to mention the Grand Prix in Italy canceled because of flooding.
Yeah,
terrible. So
saw those pictures.
I didn't see the pictures.
I did. It was pretty bad.
Okay.
Back to motorboating.
Yes, back to motorboating. Right. Well, when you look at Red Bull this year, they won every race.
Yeah, they have.
They've been 1, 2, and 4 out of 5. So it tells you to take Verstappen or Perez.
And passing is very difficult.
Very difficult.
Yeah.
So just pay attention to qualifying, right?
Exactly.
Whoever qualifies first, he should win. It doesn't ask for a very exciting race because there's not a whole lot of passing, but it's a beautiful race to watch.
Oh, yeah.
It's the prettiest track for
pretty
sure.
Prestigious too.
So I enjoy watching it. And then next up, Sunday's the greatest spectacle in racing, the 107th Indianapolis 500. Do they have cars that?
Yeah, exactly.
Who is going to win?
Okay, well, last year's winner was actually a Formula One driver, Marcus Ericsson. He's driving in the Honda. But this year, man, let's see. Pato O'Ward, he's 5-1. And he was second last year. The driver I really like, and I root for every year, kind of like Truex, is Newgarden. He's at 14-1. But if I'm going to have to put money on it, Joe, I'm going to have to take Renas VK. He's at 10-1. And
he's starting second.
Yeah, last year he received last. Now I don't know if he wrecked or if it was an engine problem, but I think that he has something to prove.
Okay. Well, Alex Palou set the qualifying record this year, 234.2 miles an hour. That's pretty fast.
Yeah. I think those cars can even go faster.
Ari Lindike actually qualified 236 one year, but he did it the second day, so that doesn't count as the pole.
Oh, correct.
So anyway, I'm going to try the Japanese driver again, Takuma Sato.
Yeah,
he won in 2017. He won in 2020. Every 3 years. He's a Ganassi guy.
Yeah.
It would be him if there's a pattern. As far as who you mentioned earlier that you root for, is a Penske driver.
Newgarden.
Newgarden, right.
Joseph.
Penske's won 18 times, but his cars just don't seem that fast.
No.
They don't compare to some of these other cars. Normally I'd be rooting for him, but qualifying didn't show that they had
been.
No. And then finally, to top it off, if you're not tired of watching racing, it's the longest race on the NASCAR schedule there, the Coca-Cola 600. Gator, what do you expect to happen?
Well, I always like to go last year first, Joe. Sure. Last year, we had Denny Hamlin, the Toyota won, and Kyle Busch, Toyota, received second. And this is the shocker. I didn't realize this, but Kevin Harvick's Ford received third. Let's see. This year, Kyle Larson's the favorite at 4-1. And I do like the Toyotas at 8-5. Chevys are at even money, so that's not terrible money either. Truex is at 8-1, and Kyle Busch is at 12-1. Denny Hamlin 7-1. I'm going to go with Truex, Joe. And then if you do like the Ford, I would say Logano at 20-1, but
Yeah,
that's a long shot.
right. Fords are a long shot.
Kyle Larson won this the year before, 21.
Right. He was last year.
Not that last year, the year before.
Yeah.
So he's nobody hotter. He's hotter than taco sauce right now, right?
Oh,
Kyle
yeah.
Larson is just-
Well, he won last week.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
He won the All-Star race, North Wilkesboro, North Carolina.
And he's
But
leading,
he's had
he's
the
leading
best
points. He's had the best car.
Yeah,
Every race.
So this is a 1.5-mile track, right?
Mhm.
It's Charlotte, right?
Mhm.
Is this the name of Charlotte?
Yes,
Mhm.
It's a 1.5-mile
miles.
track. Exactly. So
that's a long ways. 400.
No, you're exactly right. I agree with you.
So I think that Kyle Larson should be the favorite, if not almost a guarantee.
He is the favorite.
His only-
4-1.
Yeah, and the only way he doesn't win, I think, is if Ross Chastain doesn't put him in the wall. I mean, the only reason he couldn't put him in the wall last week at the All-Star race because he was 16th.
And
Ross Chastain couldn't get close enough to wreck him.
And that's where you get Chevy at even money, which is real good.
Right.
Yeah, that All-Star race, there really wasn't anything. There wasn't any wrecks. One lead change.
We had
Really
Ross
kinda
Chastain at
disappointing.
5-1 to go into the wall. Someone's going to put him in the wall, right? And
Was a little.
That
everybody
didn't
played
even
nice. Everybody played nice.
Yeah.
They raced nice.
We had more action in Texas, or even in Charlotte.
The only action I saw was Bubba Wallace flipping the bird to the TV. I don't know
You know, he
what was
got
up with that. Someone,
you second.
yeah, close race
Second
interview.
place, yeah, you could have got good odds for him to come first and third.
Yeah.
I mean, they're
Black
making-
driver on
but
the
let's-
circuit.
Guy was faster.
let's bring Cornelius back in, and maybe Cornelius can answer this time before Joe gets it right.
Oh,
Okay, so,
I didn't.
yeah,
realize-
okay, so
I
I'm
mean,
Tinker
this was-
Swift.
Sorry.
Okay, so Cornelius is on the studio. Okay, this is the Charlotte. It's been going on since probably the 50s, right? They've been racing this. This is one of the camper world, or the since Memorial Day weekend. Jimmy Johnson with 4 wins is the most to win this race as a racer. 4.
Swim.
Sink or swim.
I'm gonna sink only because I thought he won it more than 4 times. I thought he won it like 6 or 7 times, if I remember right. It's been a while though.
I'm swimming at least 4.
Okay, you guys are right on.
So
point, but he
anyway,
hasn't won
enjoy the
most.
game,
Michael
and,
Waltrip's won 5,
bet some,
so he is really
okay.
close there.
Bet
But
some
Waltrip,
squares.
yeah, I didn't think that was either. But he did his wins in the 70s, totally different race than it is now. But
Lowe's Motor Speedway.
Yeah.
I just picture Jimmy Johnson's Lowe's winning like every time. But there were also All-Star races there too, so maybe
so maybe that would be
that's
different.
what I was counting. Maybe some of those too.
We will get with our producer to verify this to make sure that Joe, you did sync. And
I did sync this time.
but we will verify this again to verify my information. But anyway,
I think.
okay.
Okay. Well, next up, Gator, starting Sunday, tennis's second major of the year, French Open, Roland Garros Stadium in Paris. Do you have any picks? Any thoughts?
Well, I think Alcaraz just became the world's #1, so I think I'm going to take him, Joe. I always root for Tsitsipas too, but he just doesn't seem to get. He's there around there, but he just doesn't get that last win to get in there.
He can lose in the final, but not win at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Sadly, Rafael Nadal is out. He's always been my pick, of course, here. He even won it last year. He's won it unbelievable 14 times. That's just
It's unbelievable.
crazy. 22 majors he's had, tied with Djokovic for the most ever. His record in Paris, 112-3.
Amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. He would have been, we would have been my pick.
Well, you do your analytics, Joe. I mean, 1-3 is not that hard to pick that one.
But he's 36. Something eventually had to give, I guess, and it's his left hip. So he's, but now it looks like pretty wide open to me. There's like 8 guys who could win it.
What about Djokovic? Is he?
Djokovic, he's up there too, but he's one of the 8. I don't think he's going to do it. I really don't know who to pick, but the one to beat, as you say, is the Spaniard, Carlos Alcaraz. It's too hard to pick. I'm not going to sit here and tell anybody to pick anybody. He's beatable. In fact, he lost in his last tournament, Alcaraz, to a guy I never even heard of before. So you never know.
Throwing darts this week.
But on the women's side, however, I like Arina Sabalenka from Belarus. She won the Australian Open, first major this year. She just beat world #1 Iga Swiatek 2 weeks ago in Madrid. And Swiatek, she's the defending French Open champion. I got 7-1 odds on Sabalenka, but she's now 18-5. So
it does seem like
are catching on.
Yeah, well, as I was going to say, Joe, is it seems like the field is actually catching up to Iga.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's starting to get interesting. So yeah, this could be. I kind of agree with you. This could be where she does get beat.
Most people are expecting these two to meet in the final.
Yeah,
Rybakina could get in there, but I'm picking Sabalenka, and it's still not bad. 18-5 odds. It's time now to review some of our picks from last week, such as the second jewel in horse racing's Triple Crown, the 148th running of the Preakness Stakes from Pimlico Racecourse in Baltimore. How did we do?
Oh, I think we did okay, Joe.
I think we did really good.
Yeah. If anybody took my pick, I said put National Treasure with Blazing Sevens, and number 8 was actually scratched, First Mission. But yeah, that exacted would have paid $15 off of a $1 bet. Then if you did the try, I said you put Maze in there for the try,
which Joe did,
and that paid $24 for $1. And then if you had the superfecta, I said for a long shot to put in Red Route 1, and he came in fourth, Joe. So I think I hit them all.
Yep, dollar superfecta paid $72.40.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you'd think he'd get paid more than that, but
I think
that was the favorite.
I think he was hitting that. I think we got to talk to our producer about getting some kind of wage increase for this. I mean, dude, that's a huge hit right there. $1 for 75.
Just being able to beat Lady Gator is prestigious enough. Trust me on that.
So you're telling me you got paid after the race? Is that what you're saying? Okay, that's a different subject.
Yeah.
I'm a little chalky, Joe, as far as the payouts go. Well, man, it was chalky. And here's the thing. Your favorite came in third, so I don't think it was that chalky. Now, if you're looking at why it was chalky, is because your longest shot on the board was Chase to the Chaos, and at 50-1 on the morning line. And when he went off, he was at 9-1 or 10-1, Joe. It was one of the two.
Yeah, they were dying.
So the money was spread out, and that's why the payouts weren't that great, but I'll take it.
Yeah. If Blazing Sevens would have won instead of National Treasure, just flip the top two, would have paid a lot better.
You would have hit that too if you did.
Yeah, I would have hit it, but it didn't happen. But, having 7 horses in the field, that made it a little easier to pick, not 18 or whatever. And I just took yours and our associate Rockin' Ronnie McKinnon's horses and boxed them together.
There you go.
And that's all I needed to do. And I hit the trifecta. So thanks, guys.
You're so welcome. Of course. That's why we're here.
Uh-huh. And National Treasure, that's trainer Bob Baffert, won his 8th Preakness. He was suspended from the Kentucky Derby, right? For the second straight year. And, of course, he's suspended because he likes to cheat. But
but if he cheated on this race, would the money still pay out? They said, okay, they found out that his horse was doped up. How did they do that before? Did you get your ticket back?
Get fined.
No, I'm talking about the betting.
The betting. No, you get
Payments.
You
bet on a cheater. That's what we should do. Bet on a cheater. He gets fined and you get paid. That's perfect.
Okay, if you want to talk about cheaters, let's talk about Todd Pletcher. He just got busted for a week.
Okay, and he's one of the best.
Okay, so if we're going to talk that subject, I think we have to go back to baseball back in the 80s.
Okay,
I think it's a lot like that.
Barry Bonds is not in the Hall of Fame.
Well,
Roger Clemens, we could go on that list.
Okay,
but I'm just
saying, a good point. I'm just saying if he's cheating, but if he's cheating, then we shouldn't really get paid for it. But I mean, but I'm good with it. I'll take the money. Thank you.
As far as betting purposes, whoever crosses,
right,
that's what it is.
Yeah, it seems like most of NASCAR racing and that usually goes the same route.
Well, NASCAR, they did change it.
They did one time.
No, as of right now, you have to wait. As of right now, as we're speaking, you have to wait until it goes through officials.
Well, that's good.
They call it official.
That's a really good rule.
Right.
I like it.
But not for horses. As soon as it's done.
Right.
It's good.
You get paid before you leave the track. You can't sit there all day. You got to get going, right? So
I
kind of like that. Okay. Also, we had golf's second major. That concluded last Sunday, 105th PGA Championship, Oak Hill Country Club, Rochester, New York.
My beautiful course.
Yeah, it was. Who earned the Wanamaker Trophy?
Okay. Well, it was actually it was great all 4 days, except for the third day we did have rain. But Brooke Koepka, he shot a -9 and won. And Joe is actually the first LIV golfer to win a major. This was his 5th major total, and this was his 3rd PGA major.
Indeed. And Hovland and Scheffler tied for second. Hovland stuck his ball in that trap, couldn't get it out. That certainly helped. I got Koepka at 33-1. I'm
Amazing.
I think that's the highest odds I've just about ever hit in my life, pretty much.
Amazing. He was 33-1 too.
I thought he was 10-1.
Well, the thing is, when I bet it, it was the second round of the Masters, and he was leading it, and I'm looking ahead to the PGA, and I'm going, oh my God, he's playing good again. Right. And he's 33-1 to win the PGA, and I jumped on it.
Got 10, yeah. Because you guys called it out last week. That was good job. Yeah. You guys called him out. And I thought that was good, and I don't think he had a real good first day. He didn't have a good first day on Thursday. I think
I think the rain helped him.
But the guy who stole the show, that was that 46-year-old club professional, Michael Block. Hit that slam dunk hole in one. Finished 15th, qualifies him for next year's PGA.
Gets his card.
Well, it doesn't get a card, but he got invited to this week's tournament at Colonial.
Because he didn't get paid, right? Because if you don't have a card, you don't get paid. Is that how
he is a professional?
He's not.
He does get paid. And now he's got a bunch of prop bets available on him for this week. He's suddenly popular. And his price of $150 an hour for golfing lessons is sure to go up now.
I think he's booked for the year.
Definitely gets paid. So flipping over to baseball, Gator. Who are the hot teams lately?
Okay,
Joe. We should be betting on, no?
Just so you guys know, my stats on this is going through Tuesday night, and tonight is Wednesday, so they've already played some, and I don't have the Wednesday's stats in here. But we had 3 hot teams, Joe. New York, Yankees, Houston, and Arizona were all 8-2. And then the next tier underneath them, we had 4 teams that went 7-3. That would be the Chicago White Sox, Texas, St. Louis for the second time, and San Francisco. So 2 of them, White Sox and San Francisco.
Houston had just won 8 straight for last night.
Yep. I think they got shut out twice in a row.
Maybe they lost again.
They said they're not. They were hot, but now they're not. But I think
that's only 2.
That's 2 shutouts in a row, though. That's
exactly.
So, but that's still good. They're still playing good baseball.
So who are the cold teams?
Well, Oakland is 1-9.
Well, naturally.
Yeah. Then we have 6 teams right underneath them at 3-7. That would be Toronto, Kansas, Philly, the Cubs, Cincy, and San Diego.
Spending all that money, San Diego.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did your picks do last week? Did you have a good week?
I went 3-2, so I'm actually what am I, 6-4, 60%.
So who are you liking this week?
Okay, well, we have Cincinnati playing Chicago Cubs. I'll take Chicago. San Diego's at New York Yankees. Have to go with the Yankees. Philly is at Atlanta for 4 games. I like Atlanta. That pitching is just lights out right now, I think. Toronto at Minnesota. Oh, I like Minnesota. And Boston is going to be at Arizona, and Arizona at home. I think they should take care of business there pretty easy. Now, the one on here, Joe, that I didn't pick because it looks too easy would be Houston at Oakland.
Well, and that, of course, Houston's going to get at least.
So I am not picking that. I am not picking that, Joe. No,
I can't. I'll pick it for you.
It looks like a trap to me, Joe. Oh, looks too easy.
Well, I don't know how Oakland wins that series. I don't see that happening.
Well, I ain't taking it.
Mm-hmm.
We got to talk. Why don't we talk about the Cardinals? You want to talk about betting the Cardinals?
There you go.
They just bet the over on them. But they were 10 today, 10.5 today, and they have terrible pitching and great hitting, which means you have a lot of runs.
But St. Louis is playing Cleveland this week, and that's why I didn't take them in Cleveland.
But you can take the over.
Yeah.
Take the over on them.
I was just
10.5 today. I've never seen a baseball team to get 10.5 because they only had 4 games all month. Colorado maybe, but
for sure,
only 4 games the whole month of May that they didn't score over 7 runs. I mean, so
I know
they're hitting the ball very well, and they're pitching terrible.
Well, look at that standing in the stats. Tampa Bay still has the best record. Texas, they've scored the most runs. Houston has given up the least. 6 teams now have 30 wins.
Right.
So we're getting off.
You can see with Texas, we told you to get them at 40-1.
Yeah.
And now they're at 25.
So they're sleeper team.
Go Bochy.
That's right.
Stat of the week, Yankee pitcher Garrett Cole, 3rd fastest to reach 2,000 strikeouts behind Randy Johnson and Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah.
But that. The game of the week, that's White Sox pitcher Michael Kopech, He threw a one-hitter, pitched the minimum 27 batters, gave up a hit, and then a double play.
Wow.
Pitched the whole game. So,
That's about as perfect as you be without being perfect. So
that's it. On the injury front, LA Dodger pitcher Dustin May, he's out 60 days, elbow strain. Fellow starting pitcher Julio Urias, he's out 15 days with a hamstring. But top Dodger prospect Bobby Miller pitched last night, and he just beat Spencer Strider.
all right.
So he only gave up one run. So maybe they might not.
That's Ronnie's Bobby Miller gave us was it Spencer Miller for Miami for Mariners last week. So he's giving us another good pitcher to bet on. I parlayed him tonight and with Florida. So thank you, Rockin' Ronnie.
Okay, yeah. And Manny Machado, third baseman for San Diego, he's returning Friday from fractured right hand, and maybe they'll start improving a little bit. And yeah, let's thank Rockin' Ronnie McKinnon for that information.
Thanks, Rockin'.
All right, guys, before we leave baseball segment, got some great information from shout out to Morgan from the Max for this. And this is the next sink or swim. Okay, so we have Pedro Martinez. These are all pitchers. Pedro Martinez and the three aces from the Atlanta Braves back in the day, Maddox, Smoltz, and Glavine. Now, as a combined those four, they have 12,000 career strikeouts. Okay? Tony Gwynn, arguably one of the best hitters of all baseball,
Without a doubt.
faced those four pitchers 330 times in his career. Now, sink or swim, Tony Gwynn only struck out 10 times facing those four pitchers.
I'm swimming all day. Tony Gwynn doesn't strike out very often.
Yeah.
I'm saying 8, 10. I say that.
I'd have to swim with that too. He was amazing. He rarely ever struck it.
It matters when he was fat. He always hit better when he was fatter. When he got on that weight program, he started not hitting so well, so he started eating cheeseburgers.
I'm going to go sink. 10 just does not seem right. 10, come on, 330, 10? No, sink.
Okay. It is a sink. He didn't strike out 10 times. He only struck out 3.
Oh,
Wow,
my
so
God, that's still amazing.
And Pedro Martinez and Greg Maddux got 0 on him. Between Smoltz and Glavine.
I thought it was.
That's
I thought it was an
amazing.
over-under.
It was over under. We didn't know it was exactly.
Exactly.
Anyway, thank you, Mo, from the Max.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good
Thanks,
stuff. I'll bring you in, Joe.
I was thinking wrong.
Sink or swim, Joe, on this one, last baseball one. There's only been 2 baseball players, and I bet you can name them both, Joe, that have wore their first name on the back of their jersey.
Well, Vita Blue, of course. How can I?
Told you, you get that one right off the bat. Yeah, Vita Blue. There's another
Ichiro?
Ichiro's the other one. Good
Wow.
job. I told you, Joe didn't even need a sink or swim. Great job.
Thank you. I can. Oh yes, I have to start wrapping this up. I'm glowing over here. But anyway, I have to talk about a couple more things. Women's college softball, Oklahoma continues to mow down its opponents.
Sure does.
They outscored them 38-3 in the regional. They are now minus 450 to win the NC2A title. The next best team is 12-1 as we've reached super regionals this weekend. Surprises, Oregon winning at Arkansas, Louisiana winning the Region Cajuns, winning at LSU. But by far, the biggest shocker, number 2, UCLA. Number 2 in the country lost to Grand Canyon and Liberty in the first 2 games, and they were done. San Diego State advanced without even playing UCLA.
Wow.
Crazy, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't sound right.
No. It's a big choke by UCLA. Also, check out college lacrosse Final Four Saturday and Monday with Duke the favorite. And sadly, we say goodbye to football and lacrosse great Jim Brown, most dominant NFL player of his era.
Didn't know he played lacrosse.
Oh, at Syracuse he did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And he died last week. So, sad to say. So, it's time that we talk about those moments we've been waiting for. Stories that make us furious about bets that appeared surely to be winners, but in the end, something went terribly wrong. They ended up being losers. It's a segment we call You Got Hose.
You got hosed.
Yeah, okay, Joe. Well, the first game between Florida and Carolina was Thursday, and the score was 2-2 going into overtime. Now, Florida did score the first goal in that first overtime. That was that game that went into 4 overtimes, Joe. And as soon as that goal was scored, I could see people who had Carolina throwing those tickets away, ripping them up. doing whatever they had to. Well, they called it back because of goalie interference, Joe.
They disallowed the goal.
They disallowed the goal. So those guys were in there digging those, in the trash cans, digging them out, trying to get the tape, put it back together. So then it took another 3 periods, Joe, a whole nother hockey game to go through. And with 12 seconds left in the game,
the fourth overtime.
Fourth overtime, they lost. So I would have to say if you had Carolina and you had to sit through those 7 periods and a second chance to see if you won or not, I would say you got hosed.
But picked your ticket out of the trash only to throw it back in the trash.
Exactly.
Well, my you got hosed story, that's at over in game 4 at Denver, LA Lakers. Totals 224. Halftime, it looks amazing. 73-58. That's 131. Surely they're going to score 94 more, right?
You would think.
You would think. Lakers only scored 16 in the third. Still at the end of 3. That's 183. All I need is 42 more. Naturally, the Nuggets score only 19 in the fourth. Ends up 113-111. 224 right on the number. That one should have been a winner, and I feel especially bad for those people who had over 224 and a half. I know someone who did, because we all got hosed.
If LeBron would have passed the ball and gave Austin Reed, he could have got a triple-double and we could have went over. There's no way he's passing that ball at the end of the game. There's no way.
No.
You got hosed.
Well, that's it for the show. I'd like to thank Big Richard Martin, Gator Gates, Rockin, Ronnie McKinnon, and Butch the Butcher, and all our contributors, our editor, producer, engineer Cornelius, and all you listeners out there. And next week, we look forward to bringing you another episode of Covering the Field.
You've been listening to Covering the Field. Email us at coveringthefield@gmail.com for all your comments or questions. Find us on Twitter @CoveringField. And of course, always check out the website for our picks of the week and updated articles. coveringthefield.com.